Hello and thank you for clicking on this Destiny 2 video. In this video I'm going to be showing you my favourite build to use at the moment in Destiny 2. I've been taking this build through all of the difficulty settings and it is performing very well. This build is going to give us insane damage bonuses to our Tommy's Matchbook, which is going to be the centerpiece of this build, while also giving us supers within 12 to 20 seconds. Now, to begin with, I'm going to be showing you the Tommy's Matchbook auto rifle and then some gameplay loop and then the rest of the build. So, to begin with, the main feature of this build is the Tommy's Matchbook auto rifle. And the thing about this is sustained fire with this weapon overheats it, increasing the damage but also damaging the user. And with the catalyst, while we have ignition trigger, final blows with this weapon will cure you, and sustained fire will also scorch targets. So this weapon is going to deal insane damage, scorch targets, and also cure us when we get kills. However, it is going to damage us in the process. But with the subclass of this build, we are not going to be worried about that at all. Pretty much negate that side effect and just keeping all the insane damage from the weapon. Now for the gameplay loop, it's very simple. We are going to melt everything with our Tommy's Matchbook, while also looking out for fire sprites and sunspots, which will give us our restoration and cure, to help us negate the side effect of the Tommy's Matchbook auto rifle. And we're also pairing it with the War Rig chest piece. The gameplay loop is just really simple. You're going to melt everything in your path with the Tommy's Matchbook, while also looking out for sunspots and fire sprites to help us survive and get that restoration back. Now for the subclass, it is a solar subclass and we are using the Hammer of Soul, which links with one of our aspects. For the abilities, this is all personal preference, so it's entirely up to you. For our first aspect, we have Consecration. This is going to swap our powered melee into a sort of fire AoE slam, which deals very good damage. For the second aspect, we have Soul Invictus. This makes it so our solar ability final blows, Hammer of Soul impacts are super, and defeating scorched targets will create sunspots. These sunspots will regenerate our abilities faster, drain our super slower, and also give us restoration. And that restoration is important because the matchbook is going to damage us, the restoration is going to help us not feel those effects. Now for our fragments are pretty much all to do with getting as much restoration on this build as we can. So for the first fragment, we have Ember of Mercy. The top line isn't too important, but the bottom line is, picking up a fire sprite will grant us restoration. So, as you will see from the rest of these fragments, they're pretty much all to do with producing fire sprites because we will get restoration from them. For our second, Ember of Empyrean, solar weapon, which is our Tommy's Matchbook, or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiance. Perfect. For the next fragment, Ember of Temperin, we are worried about the bottom part mainly. While Ember of Temperin is active, our weapons have increased airborne effectiveness, and our solar weapon final blows will create a fire sprite, which in turn will give us restoration. Next up, we have Ember of Ashes. This is going to help with the Tommy's Matchbook also, because with the catalyst effect, dealing sustained damage, you are going to start to scorch targets, which will then ignite targets and also trigger some other benefits we have in the artifact. And for our final one, we have Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects applied to you have increased duration. So we can have Radiant for longer and also restoration for longer. Next up, I'm going to be showing you the chest armor, which is our exotic piece. This is all to do with our auto rifles and machine guns. Steadily reloads a portion of your equipped auto rifle, which is our Tommy's Matchbook, or machine gun, which you can have as your heavy, from reserves. Final blows with auto rifles will also boost their stability, ammo generation and damage, and the damage is about 15 to 16% when you max it out. So, using this chest piece, it is going to automatically reload our Tommy's Matchbook from reserves, which is infinite, and it's going to take a long time to empty this mag because you're constantly regenerating 10 rounds. Now, for the weapons, for the primary, I like to use the Mint Retrograde. It's very strong at the moment. It's a pulse rifle which also deals with barrier champions. And for our energy weapon, we obviously have the Tommy's Matchbook. This is going to deal with overload champions because of the artifact this season, while also dealing with unstoppable enemies as well because it applies Scorch, and when we scorch a target enough and ignite them, it will stun a unstoppable champion. Now in terms of your heavy, you can either use a machine gun, which will get the same benefits as the Tommy's Matchbook from the War Rig chest armor, or you can just use another solar heavy weapon. I quite like using the Apex Predator because as good as having a machine gun is, the Tommy's Matchbook deals equally insane damage. So if you just want some quick, fast damage, I would recommend swapping to a rocket launcher. Or if you're happy to do sort of a bit stronger damage than the Tommy's Matchbook, every now and again, you can use a machine gun. I personally like balancing between the two. Sometimes I like using the Apex Predator, sometimes I like using a solar machine gun. In terms of the artifact, we have the important ones are Overload Rapid Fire. This is going to mean our Tommy's Matchbook can also deal with overload champions. For our next important one, we have Fever and Chill. Rapid precision hits will give our solar weapons Radiant. So, using our Matchbook, we're also going to get Radiant, which is a 20% damage buff. Our Tommy's Matchbook also counts as a featured weapon, which is another 10% damage buff, while also getting 15% from our War Rig, while also getting another 15% from our weapon stat. So in total, we're going to be getting about 60% damage buff to our Tommy's Matchbook. For the next important one, I would go with Radiant Shrapnel. This means dealing sustained damage while we are Radiant, which we should be most of the time, or defeating a Scorch combatant, which we will because the Tommy's Matchbook applies Scorch, will release solar projectiles that will deal damage. This is going to help with ad clear and just sort of doing a few chips of damage off targets nearby so that we can shred them easier when we get to them. Another good one is Shield Crush. While we are Radiant, which we should be most of the time, our grenade is going to recharge faster. Helpful to have. Now, in terms of stats, the most important stat is weapon. While we have our weapon stat at as high as we can, so for me I have it as 167, we are going to be getting 15% increased damage to minor and major combatants, while also getting 10% increased damage to bosses and guardians. Guardians isn't too important, this is a PvE build, we're more focused on that boss damage. We are also going to get a 67% chance to get larger ammo bricks, which is going to help because this build gives us so much heavy ammo, it's insane. So our heavy can be used pretty much the whole time throughout any content. Because of the amount of heavy ammo this build produces, and from having a 67% chance of getting a higher ammo brick chance. The other important stat to focus on would be super. If you have this at 90, you can get your super within 10 seconds of hitting a sustained target. So if you're on a boss at the end of a dungeon, if you hit the target for 10 seconds, you will have your super back just like that if you have a high super stat. Mine is currently 60. This still gives me my super within 15 seconds. Another stat you can focus on is grenade. That's sort of just a side stat because all my stuff is weapon grenade. It's just a benefit of the gunner armor mod or gunner armor type. So the two stats I would focus is weapons as high as you possibly can, and super as high as you can while also keeping this insanely high. In terms of mods, we have solar siphons for the head because it's a solar build, we want as many orbs as we can, while also having the heavy ammo finder. Again, this is going to help us get our machine gun stocked up all the time, or our rocket launcher stocked up all the time. In terms of the arms, it's just all about creating orbs, so I went for firepower and heavy-handed. In terms of our chest piece, I've gone for 2 ammo generators for solar weapons. We're going to be shredding everything with the Tommy's Matchbook. We are just going to be generating so much ammo, it's actually too much ammo that you can actually pick up. It's insane. And then for the second in this, we have an emergency reinforcement. This is just going to help with survivability again. For our legs, we have 2 solar weapon surges. These are going to make our Tommy's Matchbook more insane and more powerful. And we also have a recuperation, which means when we pick up an orb of power, we are going to get some health. Again, help with that survivability. For our cloak, I like to have time dilation. Our armor charges will last longer. We are going to be using armor charges for our solar weapon surges, and also our emergency reinforcement. And next up we have proximity ward. These last two are sort of just fillers. Wanted to put something in those slots, so I went for proximity ward and empowered finish. This means we're going to get an overshield when we perform a finisher, which could get us out of a tricky spot if we're low on health. And the empowered finish is going to give us a armor charge if we have none currently when we use a finisher. And that is everything for this build. It is such a simple build. You put it all together and you just melt everything in your path with the Tommy's Matchbook, while also using your super constantly because you can get it within about 15 seconds on average. It is insane. I am in love with this build at the moment, and I'm so eager to share it with you guys because it just puts a smile on my face walking through all the endgame content, feeling like a death machine. Thank you very much for watching.